Hey guys, Mr. Marcus here, and as you can see, we're back with some Master League, Southampton Master League to be precise. And before this episode actually gets properly started, I have to tell you that I missed out the Champions League draw by mistake at the end of the last episode, which I probably should have put in. And that basically is telling you that in our Champions League group, we have Liga Warsaw, which isn't too hard, FC20, who are also not too hard, but we also have goddamn Bayern Munich. So, yeah. We faced Bayern Munich actually in this episode, in the second match of this episode. We have two from the Premier League and one from the Champions League. So of course in this game against Norwich City, of course trying to play my strongest team as possible. The likes of Belhanda was playing, and Jovetic and Pella, and not Pella, of course, new UEFA Player of the Year, absolutely ridiculous. Morgan Schneiderlin, of course, the captain, so it's all good. Badster at the back as well as Klein. All the while, I mean, it was basically our team as you'd expect it to be. And of course this is a game at home. So of course it's our first home game of the season, I want to say. Yeah, it is, because in my first two games of the season it was away to Swansea, away to Newcastle. So in this game against Norwich, I have to say this now, this game was the most boring game I've ever played. It took 40 minutes until we actually eventually had an opportunity, which was Joel Campbell coming down this right hand side, running at Ryan Bennett, eventually crosses it in to Jay Rodriguez, who overhead kicks it just over the bar. I mean, it was the first time I've ever seen anything like that. And that was really about it. So coming up to this, of course, coming up to half time, literally nothing was happening. Like, this game was just such a pain because of the fact that literally for every reason couldn't get past Norwich, because of the fact that, well, like, it's weird, like facing new teams. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Whenever I face a new team which has just been promoted, I always struggle against them, and I don't know why. But with that logic, 0-0 at half time, I'm not really doing much until the second half started, and literally from the start of the second half, running the right hand side of Belhanda, crossing it into Jay Rodriguez, who heads it just wide of the post, and that was it. Coming up to the last minutes of the match, Tadic had come on, and the likes of Pella had come on. I think Shane Long had actually come on, and that was it. 0-0 against Norwich City. What the hell is wrong with me? I can beat Newcastle 3-0, I can draw with Swansea, I can have a good game against Manchester United, but against Norwich City, only have 3 shots on target. What? Anyway, man of match was Sebastian Bissong for Norwich City, their centre-back, and moving into the Champions League. So, of course, with a Champions League match, they actually show the team at the beginning of in the introduction video. So that's quite cool. Of course, this is the first time that Champions League stuff has actually been on my channel, because I didn't decide to do a run this season in the Champions League with any random team, because I just didn't really ever have the time to do so. So, with that, of course, playing our first game in the Champions League against Bayern Munich, it is at our home stadium, so we have the home advantage. But again, they're goddamn Bayern Munich. Mario Götze, Arjen Robben, they bought Juan Cuadrado, who now actually plays for Chelsea in real life, Benatia, and goddamn Dante and Lam and Boateng and Manuel Neuer. For some reason their captain is Xabi Alonso, which doesn't really make any sense considering that they have Philipp Lahm as well as Bastian Schweinsteiger in the starting lineup, as well as Manuel Neuer. So of course I was a bit nervous when I was actually doing this video, because, and also playing, the fact that I was playing the Champions League match for the first time with Southampton, and of course, like, the Champions League actually gets to you quite a lot in this game because of the fact it's actually the only, like, properly licensed thing, and it's just weird. But with that, of course, starting this game, we have Forster all the while, Badster, Klein, Aspilicueta in our midfield with Schneiderlin, Wanyama, Campbell, Belhanda, Jovetic and Jay Rodriguez up front. Of course, I like this little bit they did with the cameras. That was quite cool. Have to give them the full props for doing something like that. Of course, with Bayern Munich, they have Neuer, Benatia. I've already basically named the team when it was going through the faces. But of course, big Pep Guardiola as the manager. Of course, Manuel Neuer, one of the best goalkeepers in the game, is going to be an absolute pain to get past, because, well, he's a pain to get past in real life as well, but he's also a pain to get past in the game because he's one of the best goalies in the game. And the goalkeepers in this game are actually pretty good when it comes to higher rated goalkeeper. So with that, the game kicked off. Of course, we kicked off the game because we're the home team, and literally, like, trying to keep possession against Bayern Munich is so hard because of the fact that they're Bayern Munich. But in the first minutes of the match here, Jay Rodriguez eventually gets it forward eventually to Wanyama, or Wanyama gives it to Belhanda. Belhanda gives it to Rodriguez, and Rodriguez, I think he gets a shot away or he crosses it in, and I probably should have scored there with Joel Campbell, but again, I'm missing opportunities with Joel Campbell. I probably should be scoring, so I might have to put him on a training routine to try and improve his shooting, because he literally is just dreadful at anything else. So Of course, Badstuber also facing his former team. And in the 11th minute of the match here, we have Quadrado down the right hand side, crosses it into Arjen Robben, who just heads it past Fraser Forster to give Bayern Munich a deserved 1-0 lead, considering that they're Bayern Munich. So with that logic, it sort of went to the end of the first half, and sort of just wanted to try and get forward a bit more and maybe get an opportunity, like another opportunity to score again. But of course here we have what's his name? Jay Rodriguez actually testing Manuel Neuer from very close range of a header, which I probably should have scored if I just aimed it slightly to the left or to the right, which is a bit annoying because scoring opportunities like that is probably what's going to end up with me winning games like this. So in the 49th minute of the match here, Arjen Robben on the ball trying to get past Alderweireld, does eventually get past, and eventually the ball gets played through to Mario Götze, of course the World Cup winner and the World Cup scorer in the final, and he tests Fraser Forster with a very good shot. It comes back to him, and fortunately for me, he's offside there when I did probably the worst throw-out I've ever done. To me, that's not offside, but what do I know? I'm not the referee. But in the 64th minute of the match here, Wanyama eventually has a shot. It's deflected over by Benatia, and it goes up for a corner kick. From the resulting corner kick, which Jovetic takes, it comes back out to Alderweireld, who heads it down. Comes back to Belhanda at the edge of the box, who heads it into an empty net. And I was really happy when I scored this, but I was like, really, when you actually go back and watch it, it's such a ridiculous goal for Bayern Munich to concede, considering that Neuer just has to sort of stop, and he'll probably just stop and save it. But in the last minutes of the match here, we brought in Graziano Pella and Tadic. I have Pella on the ball here, gives it to Wanyama. Wanyama gives it to Tadic. Tadic gives it to Belhanda. Belhanda gives it back to Tadic, and Tadic, through on goal, gets an opportunity to score and takes his opportunity to give us a shock 2-1 lead with literally 0 seconds on the clock. Tadic, you beast. You need to maybe start playing him a bit more at that right midfield slot, and he could probably score a lot more goals than Joel Campbell will. But Joel Campbell, of course, I like Joel Campbell. So of course with that, they kicked off. They started passing the ball a bit, but actually beat them. We beat Bayern Munich, one of the best teams in Europe. We beat them 2-1. What? Come on. So goddamn good. Anyway, beating the likes of the bigger teams with a smaller team always feels better. Of course, as we see there in the stats, we did absolutely dominate them in terms of shots and not possession or anything. But Belhanda got man of the match with 6.5 rating. And as you see from the other results, Benfica beating Atletico, Bayer Leverkusen beating Hertha, Man United beating Roma, I think. But Liga Warsaw got a 2-goal difference over FC20, so Liga Warsaw are top of the table, while our team, Southampton, are second. But as we move here into the next match against Reading, or of course away from home against a newly promoted side, and of course Reading, relatively straightforward. But again, the thing with it is I always seem to suffer from a Champions League hangover in basically in games in PES, and you sort of see what I'm going to be talking about in about 2 or 3 minutes time, when basically this game against Reading, it should be probably straightforward because Reading are not too difficult. But as we see here, I had to change a lot of the team because I wanted to rest some players like Klein and Wanyama and a lot of the players who've basically been playing in the Champions League matches, and of course Graziano Pella up front and all that sort of stuff. And of course we're facing off against Reading, who they have some guy called Musique up front who I've never actually heard of. I don't know if he's even real or if he's fake, but of course I had to. The most interesting thing about this was that I've not edited any of the championship teams except for the teams which got promoted. So Reading, Norwich and Cardiff are the only teams which actually have as accurate kits as possible from the championship teams, because why would I bother editing all of it when I'm not going to be playing in a championship in any time? So Musique there up front for Reading, really weird player to play against, and for some reason I just could not play well against Reading. It made no sense. Well, Belhanda here gets an opportunity basically coming to the end of the first half, and Pacini eventually gets it down here and gives it the ball to Graziano Pella, takes one touch, tries to get a shot away, but for whatever reason I just could not get past their defence. So it just made no sense as Musique here on the ball get a yellow card. I think I actually got a yellow card there with Gardos. I got a yellow card with Jack Cork a couple of minutes later. But literally at half time 0-0, and you can see from the stats that really they had 1 shot 1 on target. We've had 2 shots 0 on target. Champions League hangover is real. But in the 71st minute here, Pella probably should have scored there. Didn't really get the opportunity to score, and then in the 85th minute of the match, Robson Cano has the ball, gives it to Musique, and Musique just pings it into the bottom corner with the accuracy of Sergio Aguero, and gives us a 1-0, well, gives Reading a 1-0 lead over me. Now, I was really pissed off about this because it was like, they're Reading, like, come on. So in basically the last minutes of the match, I tried to get the ball there. I got the ball there with Stephen Davis. I don't understand how that's even a yellow card, but I got the ball, referee gave me a yellow card, and I was like, well, that's game's done. Stephen Davis gets sent off for me taking him out, taking out Robson Kanu, and I wasn't really that pissed off because Stephen Davis isn't really that good a player, but I was really angry, hence why I got a red card, like, basically there. But as you see, basically even from the stats don't lie. The stats sort of show that I played absolutely dreadful against Southampton. So one day you're beating Bayern Munich, next day you're getting beat by getting beat by Reading. So yeah, football is unpredictable, very unpredictable. As you see there, I had 5 shots, 1 of which was on target. What? Like, come on. Like, it was 50-50, and well, they had more shots than me and they had more shots on target. So probably they did deserve to actually beat me. So with that, man of match was Musique, and that was that. So we'll see what the table looks like. Look at Cardiff beating Manchester United. My United must be like bottom of the table at this rate. But in match day 4 of the Premier League, we will see the table now, I think, because eventually we will see it. We'll see it eventually. Come on, where is it? Where's the table? There's the table now. As you see, the Liverpool at top with Arsenal, and we're 7th with 5 points. We're 7 points off the top. What the hell? Anyway, if you have enjoyed this video, subscribe my channel for more, and catch you later.